back to Book 2. Welcome to Jackie's Lyric Corner. I am Jackie, and I am doing a double review of When Elephants Dance by Tess Uriza Holth, and The Last Time I Saw Mother by Arlene J. Chow. Or Chai. Sorry. So, first I read When Elephants Dance is a World War II story. When the Japanese take over the Philippines, they stole a lot of the wealthy people's houses and were using them for their headquarters. And this one particular family, who I'm not gonna bother trying to pronounce their name because it won't go well. They are currently hiding out in someone's cellar along with several other friends of theirs. And the book starts with the oldest daughter in the family, Isabel, has not returned home. She's somewhere out in the middle, in the city, and you have the two boys who are making her two brothers, Alejandro and I cannot remember what the other brother's name is. They are trying to make their way back, but they run into a friend who killed one of the Japanese soldiers because he killed his family member. So they end up getting captured by soldiers and taken into internment camps, where they are interrogated and asked not only if they killed their soldier, or if they know the leader of the guerrilla armed rebels that are somewhere out there. And they get tortured, and the two Alejandro had barely escapes with his brother somewhere out there hiding when his friend finally confesses that he killed the soldier. And it turns out the guerrilla leader is there and does reveal himself because he's friends with this boy. And they do make it home, and while they're there, the older family members start telling stories to these kids to teach them lessons and to ease their fears and to distract them from what's going on. So it's a bit of a story within a story, or a story within stories. While Last Time I Saw Mother also references World War II, but it is set in probably early 2000s, or maybe, actually no, probably more like the 90s, the late 90s. It is the present day of the story takes place right after the Marcos regime, which was going on in the 80s and 90s. And our main character, Caridad, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but she has been living in Australia. She left Manila and is living in Australia with her husband, Jamie, and their daughter, Marla. And the only information she gets from the family is her cousin, Mia, will send her letters and will tell her on how her mom is doing. But somehow she actually ends up receiving a letter directly written by her mom asking her to come home. And she does, and when she gets home, she learns that her mom and her aunt and her cousin have been keeping a secret from her about her origins. And a lot of the story happens during World War II. Or a lot of the events that led up to Caridad's origins start in World War II. So the biggest difference between these two books is that even though they're both focused on World War II, this one is in the moment, is actually during World War II, in the Japanese occupying the Philippines. So you're very much in the moment of World War II. You are seeing the characters in the situation when they are in hiding and being tortured by the Japanese and not knowing what's going to happen to them, if they're going to make it. you have characters like Isabel are out there trying to hide while also trying to travel back home. And she's at risk of getting caught, getting captured, getting tortured. And there is also a perspective of the guerrillas, which are basically the rebels trying to fight against the Japanese. Well, in this one, the war has already happened. The present day of the story is way decades later after the war. So we know that the characters make it out of the war and that they survive. More in the literal sense. Emotionally, that's different. But so we are told about World War II, but with already knowing getting an idea of what's going to happen, how things are going to work for the character, and that the characters are going to be at least okay. They're going to at least be alive. And the tension is more within how Caridad's going to react to the stories, how she's going to respond to them, how she's going to feel after she finds out about the secret that her mom has kept from her. When Elephant Dance is, you have, like I said, it's a story within stories. So there are several little stories sprinkled throughout. In this one, we have one story being told to the main character. And they both also, there's multi-perspective in both these stories. You have the kids of the main family, Isabel, the daughter, and her brother Alejandro. And then, like I said, we have little stories in between that are set in the past. So I guess you can count those as perspective as well. While this one, you have the perspective of the story starts with Caridad, but then you hear about Thelma, her mother's perspective, and then you get her aunt's perspective, her part in in Caridad's origin story, and then you also get her cousin Lydia's her story and how she is connected to Caridad and her origins. Now, I feel like because the tension of this one, because you're actually in the present moment of World War II, I think that creates a kind of tension, because you don't know what's going to happen to these characters. You don't know who's going to come out this alive. And there's a lot of characters that are kind of caught between two ideas and trying to decide what is the right way to solve this conflict. They have opposing side. They're on opposing sides, but they both want the same thing. These two particular characters in the story. And then you also have the characters that are in hiding, and there are some of them that are like, oh, it's better to do what we're told and hide because they are scared, and the Japanese could torture them or hurt people that they love, so they are afraid. But then you also have people who are like, no, we have to fight for our homeland. We can't just sit on our asses and hide. So they have there's a lot of different points of view, and you don't know, and you really don't know what is the right thing to do. These characters don't know that either. They don't know, am I right or are they right? And there's a lot of characters calling and questioning each other, and you almost feel like these characters are both are being reasonable and rational. You kind of or at least you understand where they're coming from, and all their points of view are very valid. It's also I think this one's a little more, because it's a bit more graphic and detailed about the tortures and everything that is. And it's a little more, I feel like a little more sad, because like I said, you're in the moment of the war. So you're seeing them happening in present time. In right now. While this one, you do get things described to you. Both books mention the water cure that they would do to as a torture. But this one, like I said, you already know everything's going to be, okay for the characters. And but it's still kind of sad, it's more just sad that this happened to them, but you're also but they're going to be okay in the end. And like I said, the true tension of this one is that Cara Dad's reaction to all this and how she's going to feel about it. Like, you know, and is she going to forgive these characters for their choices they made for her life? And we also get, like, these characters throughout, you know, try to justify their actions because it was a different time. Like, Cara Dad is now in a time where there's a little more freedom, and they just got away from the, you know, like I said, this is right after the Marcos regime. They finally got rid of him, and now they're on the road to independence for real, but there's a lot of rebuilding they have to do, and they've been through a lot of crap in the Philippines. While this one, like I said, you don't know for sure. Like, we don't know what's gonna happen. They both do focus on families and survival, which I think that's going to be a theme in a lot of these books that I'm reading about Philippine literature, because the Philippines has been through a lot before they finally gained independence. I mean, they were colonized by Spain, and then America showed up, and then the Japanese came, and then America got them back, but then they had their own version of a dictator to take over, and they do post some very interesting things to think about. Like one of the characters even says, you know, do we know how to be our own country? Do we know how to be free and independent? Because they've been ruled and taken over by so many different, like 3 different countries. Like I said, both these books are really good. Like I said, this one focuses more on World War II than this one, because although this one focuses on, like, not just focuses on World War II after the aftermath of World War II and what the characters have to do to rebuild and fix what's broken. And both are very sad, very bittersweet stories. When this one focuses more on the females, the women in the family, and this one kind of focuses on, you know, not just the women, but the men too in the family and the choices that men have to make. But yeah, so these are both really great stories that touch on an aspect of World War II. I feel like you don't get a lot of unless you actively look for these books. But anyway, so that is comparing and contrasting Last Time I Saw Mother and When Elephants Dance. I really hope if you guys are interested in World War II, you also check these out as well, because I think this is just as important as, you know, what happened in the U.S. and in Germany. I think we need to learn. There needs to be more people reading books about what happened to the Philippines at the time. So if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And please click subscribe if you're interested in watching more of my videos. And I hope you are enjoying your reading. And please click the bell icon if you want to be notified about my latest videos. And I will talk to you all later. All right, bye.